Hey folks, and welcome to this evening's live stream. I hope you are all well. Let me know in the chat section if my audio is okay, if anything's off, if I'm a little bit too loud, because this is going to be a deep old dive. So throw them penguins up. Let me know if everything's okay in the live stream and if you can hear me, and then we will proceed ahead with the emergency management and recovery of Luna Classic. So it's pretty late here in the UK, but it's not an issue for me. Like I said, I'm here for the community. I'm here to best serve the community as best as possible. And if that means that running a live stream now at this time of night and then running another tomorrow for the other people around the world. But I noticed that it was still rather early in the States and places like that. So what better time really to actually get into this? So without further ado, let's start. And folks, it's a really bright white screen for me. It may look a little bit dimmer for you because I've got a dimming tool on to dim the white out. So anyway, less of that, more of this. So abstract. In early May 2022, the Terra ecosystem collapsed after the algorithmic stablecoin failed to maintain its peg. Emergency measures were taken by Terraform Labs in an attempt to protect Luna and UST, but then were abruptly abandoned by TFL for Luna 2.0 several days later. At this time, the Luna Classic blockchain has been left crippled and in limbo for the last 2 months. In the face of impossible odds, the Luna Classic community has self-organized and rallied to build and restore the blockchain. This technical document outlines the steps we, the community, have taken towards the emergency management of the Luna Classic blockchain in the weeks after the UST depeg. We outline precisely what would be implemented on-chain to mitigate the concerns to affected stakeholders and build trust for external partners, exchanges, third-party developers for the Luna Classic community, validators and developers. This outlines concrete steps on how past governance can and will be achieved. We openly audit our own code and welcome any feedback for improvements. Let us move forward together as the true community blockchain. Okay, so moving next onto the contents table. And as you can see, I'm not going to read it out, but feel free to pause and take a look at the contents, but let's keep this moving. There's 103 viewers here, so it's really good that there's that many people actually watching this, because then they can go out and relay this information to others. So introduction, the Terra framework consisted of Terra Luna and Terra UST. This pair represented an algorithmic stablecoin that pegged UST to 1 USD using a swap and mint function between Luna and UST. When UST's value dropped below $1, UST asset holders could burn their UST minting 1 Luna, thus decreasing the UST in circulation and increasing its price. When UST's value increased over $1, Luna asset holders could burn 1 Luna and mint 1 UST, giving a small profit and lowering the price of UST back to 1 USD. However, on May 10th, 2022, UST depegged from its $1 mark and started a 40% sell-off within 24 hours. In the span of 4 days, the price of UST crashed to only 13% from its $1 stablecoin value. Luna Foundation Guard deployed over 3 billion in BTC to defend the peg further, as designed the algorithm that linked UST and Luna, minting trillions of Luna to avoid the collapse of UST. But the framework could not support the massive sell-off, and the Terra ecosystem suffered a devastating death spiral. So just in that little bit there, folks, do know that it's really obvious there that this wasn't one individual person that actually minted these coins. There's no actual sole person that sat there minting them one by one. It was an algorithm, and someone found a flaw in it and they exploited that flaw. It was as simple as that. Okay, so moving on. Emergency measures during USD depeg. During the collapse of the stablecoin, Terraform Labs initiated 3 emergency actions. The first was to burn the UST in the community pool. The second was to burn the 371 million UST cross-chain on Ethereum. And the third was to stake 240 million Luna to defend from the governance attacks. However, user @ValarDragon noted on Twitter that the Luna chain was in danger and could be taken over for 4 million at the moment. A patch was devised that disabled IBC channels, delegation, and creating new validators. The TFL developer who created the security patch, Alexander Bez, stated that once what is being termed as Terra Classic launches, this will be reverted, obviously. The swap connection between Luna and UST was also disabled. One of the primary reasons for this was due to the numeric precision, i.e. the market module was running out of decimal places for the supply. And you can see the post-mortem of the depeg on the GIT hub. I will post links in the description of this at the end. Sorry for going out of that there, folks. Let's get us back on point. Okay, so moving forward, 1.2, governance and representation. While the TFL security patch halted the hyperinflation of Luna and protected the chain from attack, the patch was a change to the protocol, which according to Terra Classic documentation and governance procedures requires a proposal and community vote, but no proposal was published and a vote did not happen. So the patch was installed in contravention to these accepted governance procedures. That being said, we have no reason to doubt that developers and validators acted in good faith and made an executive decision in the times of an emergency. And we know that they did because we know that they stopped the minting. Duquan confirmed this to myself and a few other people. Yes, Duquan actually tweeted us directly back. It was actually really cool. I'm just going to take a sip of my drinks. 2 secs, folks. Shout out to everyone here as well. I know it's late. I know it was really up and down as to when and where we was doing this, but here we are. So moving forward. Stewardship by Terraform Labs. Since that moment 2 months ago, there's been no word from TFL on the support or continuation of support for the Luna Classic blockchain. Numerous attempts to contract Terraform Labs have resulted in frustrating silence. Attempts from the authors to communicate with TFL include 1. Initiating contact through GIT Hub pull requests. 2. Direct email to developers on the Terra Money repository. 3. Messages through Discord. 4. Messages through Telegram. 5. Scheduling requests to calendars. Connection requests through LinkedIn. Application to job posting on Terra Money's website. Invited a TFL member to Terra Rebels GIT Hub org. And assigned co-ownership of the org for 3 weeks. Due to failure to communicate, we demoted the individual to a member role. There have been several TFL developers who have commented and contributed to the implementation and solutions. However, they have acted in good faith independently from the organization. We will continue in our efforts to communicate with TFL. We believe this could be a symbiotic relationship. TFL would have a community developer maintaining the code base, and TFL could provide insight into the 400,000 code comments made over 4 years, including all right, here we go, folks. I am dyslexic, so just bear with me here. We'll get over it. Yeah, that's a really good one. Okay, so the nuanced workings of the Terra blockchain. Loads of people are laughing. Ha 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 ha. Bad grammar. With TFL, improvements to the system would be orders of magnitude times faster. Unfortunately, with the absence of any official announcement, we are operating under the assumption that TFL has already abandoned the chain. So moving forward, the community blockchain. A proof of stake POS blockchain can be thought of as a trinity between 3 entities: validators, community, and developers. When Luna collapsed, one of the founders of the Luna blockchain, Do Kwon, asked that developers pledge their support to Luna 2.0 chain, stating, "Call to action. We encourage Terra developers to signal support, commit to the build on the fork on public channels ASAP." Thus, the trinity was broken as the developers abandoned the classic chain and left the community and validators behind. The community, e.g. Luna Classic and UST holders, also drastically changed as the value of the tokens rapidly lost value, and now members from the community could obtain millions of Luna for only a few USD. With the absence of developers and an overhaul of community demographic, the validators are the only members left of the original trinity as we speak. Validators are slowly leaving the chain, with only 90 out of 130 still active set. Even after 2 months have passed since the depegging event, validation is still broken. Delegation and staking on Luna Classic and POS blockchains, where staking is absolutely fundamental to the operation of a chain, are disabled. However, the Classic ecosystem is not broken. A community has rallied behind Luna Classic, the authors of this technical specification and community members that are self-organized under a Discord group known as Terra Rebels. We have no affiliation with Terra Labs, TFL, nor work under any central organization or established entity at this time. We, the community, are filling the developer void impartially and in accordance with the community proposals that passed the voting. In the next sections, we describe the proposals passed by Terra Decentralized Autonomous Organization, DAO. We'll come back to this in a second. And the associated implementations when adopted. A new wave of delegators, validators from the community will stake on Luna Classic. Build the community developers. This will be true community owned and operated blockchain. Now, if anybody is with me quite a lot of the time, which most of you are, you would have noticed that I retweeted CZ Binance's tweet explaining what DAOs are and said their tweets are getting more and more interesting, and people seem to have forgotten what's going on, what's actually happening, what a DAO is, and how actually important that tweet that he made was actually explaining what a DAO is. And yeah, it's not even at this point an old fishwives tale or chasing, putting things together. It's very strange. So moving forward anyway, less about Binance. Proposition 4095, re-enable staking, delegation to existing active validators set only. This was the text proposal passed June 21st with a yes vote of 90.67%. With a total vote of 165.32 million, the proposal states. This proposal aims to make the following changes. Re-enable staking delegations on Terra Classic exclusively to the active validator set for a period of 60 days. The ability to create new validators will remain disabled until block height 8905758, approximately 22nd of August 2022. 2. New validators can be created only after block height 8905758, the 22nd of August 2 out of 1 proposed solution and implementation status implemented. Pull request here. So the 2 block heights are defined. Staking power revert height and delegate power revert height. These are placeholder values and will be adjusted in consultation with validators. Once the delegate power revert height is determined, we will compute the staking power height to be 60 days after. As you can see there, a few bits of more code. Feel free to pause it. Feel free to take a look. A lot of people are saying to me, Jay, when will we have a public copy of this? This was one of the first things I asked Terra Rebels, and it is being worked on, and it will be made public for you folks very soon, okay? But like I always say, do bear with these folks. They do a lot more work than talking, okay? There's always proof in the pudding. The highlighted change shows that upon reaching the specified revert height, create validator would become functional again. Similarly, I'm so sorry, folks. You can tell I'm dyslexic. I actually read things backwards. We performed the same revert for delegations just at an earlier block. And as you can see here, outlining this in the source code. So 2 of 2, concerns and potential pitfalls. And do pay attention to these bits, folks, okay? So concern, the upgrade would cause the chain to halt. We have heard the concern that the chain might be needed to halt for new code to be adopted. This should not be the case. The revert heights protect against consensus failure before the revert height goes into effect. Thus, validators should be able to upgrade the code at their leisure. As long as 2/3 of the validators by staking power adopt the code before the first revert height, the chain should not halt. Concern, re-enabling staking could result in a BFT attack. This attack, where 2/3 of the validators by staking power are malicious actors, is a potential attack for all blockchains. However, given the imbalance of community-owned Luna and the staked Luna, the attack becomes more plausible. When delegation and staking are re-enabled, we mitigate this attack in 2 ways. First, we only open delegation to existing validators in the first 60 days. An attack in this time period could only come from the existing validators who have already demonstrated their commitment to faithfully running the chain. While we acknowledge there's non-zero chance of such an attack, we believe it is highly unlikely. 3. Further in-game theoretic perspective, staking would bond the user's coins for a period of 21 days, during which time the attack would negatively impact the market price. Attacking the chain would result in financial loss to the malicious actor, which further strengthens the argument that the attack would be unlikely if a wealthy individual or group were to purchase hundreds of millions of dollars to attack the chain. Given the market cap of Luna Classic and UST, they would be entitled to it as they have paid for it. But in this situation, we would roll back to the snapshot before delegation and fork the chain and abandon that version of the chain. The attacker would suffer catastrophic financial loss, and that does not mean we should not proceed cautiously and take security seriously. 4. As a precaution, we will de-incentivize such an attack by making the cost to achieve a supermajority stake significantly cost prohibitive. We are providing a script to validators that allow them to delegate their validators on the very first block that the delegation becomes active. Not only will validators be staking on the first block, we the community will also be delegating our coins equally across a set of trusted validators. For the validators, we suggest increasing the size of the mempool on the validators nodes and increasing the minimum gas. We further welcome any additional suggestions to assist with this transition. The prototype scripts is as follows. And as you can see just here, here's that. I'll give you a second just to look at that. Thank you very much, Market Disciple, for that very small donation. That will be going to burn along with all the other revenue here on this channel for the next 3 months. So yeah, do look forward to that. I'll be bringing an update out this week on that. So moving forward, the script checks the block height every 3 seconds. When the targeted block height has been reached, it will delegate a specified amount to a validator account. 3. Proposition 3568, tax/burn 1.2% of all transactions. Yes, the one that, as a lot of people will see this as kind of selfish and stuff like that, but this is the one that the community are really, really interested in. So there's a lot of people who got burnt from the top to the bottom, and a lot of people want to see this one play out and actually play its role. So anyway, less of that. This was a tax proposal passed on June 9th with a yes vote of 83.32%. With a total vote of 168.13 million, the proposal states a tax burn mechanism is to be implemented on LUNC to reduce the total supply, implement a tax plus burn mechanism on each buy-sell transaction, 1.2% burn tax. This mechanism should be true until the total supply equals 10 billion LUNC. After that, this mechanism is disabled. The total supply can never be changed, and this is to be implemented in all transactions and to be suggested officially by the Terra team on all social media that all exchanges should do the same until the condition is met. And another thing is for the official Terra team to share on all social media the official burning address. Just going to take a nip of my drink, folks. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I muted the mic so you don't have to listen to me gulping. So here we go. 3.1 proposed solutions and implementation status implemented. Code here. So feel free to pause and take a look at that. If you've got a GIT Hub account, feel free to go and take a look. Let me just get us back down to where we was. Oh, it's all gone Pete Tong. Okay, concerns and pitfalls. We've done that. Oh my Lord. Here we go. We're back. We're back. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. So status implemented. You can pause it there. Just take that down and have a look. The first change we introduced is in the anti-handler, anti.go. The anti-handler is a set of decorators in the tender mint that check transactions on both CheckTX and DeliverTX. These methods are run on every transaction proposed to the blockchain, as you can see here. So moving forward a little bit more there, feel free to pause and have a look. And here we adopt and define a new decorator called new burn tax fee decorator. This is nearly identical to the new tax fee decorator introduced by TFL for implementing the stability tax on UST. What is different is that we pass in the BankKeeper module to burn the tax immediately after subtracting the tax from the sender, i.e. immediately after Cosmonauty new deduct fee decorator. Here we show the burntax.go file, which is the implementation of the new decorator. Again, one can easily verify the identical nature of this file with a tax.go, the TFL stability tax decorator. And that, once again, folks, is the stability tax that TFL brought in on UST with the whole burn mint mechanism. So moving forward, as described before, the only difference in that we bring in the bank module to handle the burning tax on every eligible transaction. The anti-handler then computes the taxes in the exact same way as the stability tax. However, here, instead of just recording the tax proceeds as the stability tax used to, we instead send the coins from the fee collector module that collects the gas plus tax to the burn module that handles reducing the total supply. And it's very important that we do reduce that total supply, folks, and not just the circulating supply. So as you can see here, more code, feel free to pause it there, take a look. I'm going to move forward. Okay, so in order for us to actually send tokens from the fee collector to the burn module, we do need to expose the send coins from module to module endpoint to the anti-handler. So we tell the handler that we can expect to access this function via the expected keeper_.go file. This code gives the anti-handler access so that it can burn the coins directly. Okay, BankKeeper defines the contract needed for the supply related APIs. And as you can see here, some more code, do feel free to pause it and take a look. Moving forward, now the actual tax percentage amount is obtained via the existing Treasury parameter tax rate. This tax rate is modulated by the tax policy and Treasury module as defined here in 5. The tk.getTaxRate methods queries this parameter, computes the stability tax according to the tax rate and tax cap. A little bit more code there, folks. Finally, there was a logic in both the existing tax anti-handler and in the Treasury module to not tax Luna. We removed the limitation of the tax in Luna so that the burn would apply. And there you go, right there, nice and transparent as always, folks. Literally, they couldn't be more transparent, honestly. So anyone who knows code is more than welcome to pause it, take a look and just break it down for yourselves inside your own minds. I have, and it really is just, it's beautiful to see this all happening, honestly. It's mind blowing. So moving forward, the rate minimum, the rate underscore minimum, and the rate underscore max parameters should be set to 0.012 to achieve the 1.2% burn tax. The tax will be clamped to exactly this number. There is a cap on the total tax allowed in USDR units. This can be set arbitrarily high. Setting the change underscore rate underscore max to 0.0 prevents the tax rate from changing over epochs, approximately a week or 7.7 days of a blockchain, and epochs must pass for the tax rate to be enacted. So the reward policy rate underscore minimum and the rate underscore max should be set to 1.0, with a change underscore rate underscore max set to 0.0. This requires some explanation. At the end of an epoch, the treasury calculates all the total number of tokens that have been burned in that epoch. It then immediately mints the exact amount and distributes these as a reward to the validator's community pool as part of an old seigniorage model. The reward policy specifies how much of this should be burned and how much should be distributed. 1.0 or 100% indicates that all of the new minted Luna should immediately be burned and not distributed. It is imperative that these parameter changes be made simultaneously in the same proposal, otherwise the tax could be exploited for rewards and not burned. Thank you very much, Big Ted. That is honestly, you donate on every stream. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's all going to burn, folks. Just remember that. I really, really appreciate it. So let me just, hello, 25 minutes from the start. Okay, yeah, welcome. Let's get back to it. Concerns and pitfalls. Did we get to that bit? Hang on a second. It's imperative that these parameters. Yeah. Okay. So concerns and potential pitfalls. Concern. The tax is bad for the long-term growth. Whether or not this tax is a positive or negative catalyst for the Luna ecosystem remains to be seen. We remain impartial and develop in accordance with the community proposals that pass the voting process. While we acknowledge that the taxing transactions will likely reduce the activity on-chain, we have structured the implementation to be flexible as the Luna landscape evolves. The tax can be changed via parameter proposal at any time, and we could even take advantage of the variable tax rate to adjust after every epoch. And remember, folks, an epoch is every 7.7 days, okay? Or 7 days. So through democratic process, the Luna community can adapt to maintain healthy long-term growth. So the concern, the tax will break connections to certain dApps and exchanges. This is likely true. We have already seen issues arise internally with tools like TerraStation, TerraFaucet, and TerraChrome extension, where they are designed to probe the blockchain using a dummy transaction of 1 Luna to compute the gas fees. When increasing the amount being transacted, the gas fees are not recomputed. The transaction will fail, and a large coordinated marketing and publicity campaign will need to occur when the governance of the parametered proposal indicates that this will pass. Developers and third parties will need to be contacted to upgrade their logic for interacting with the classic blockchain. However, we do see a silver lining. Our code change is based upon the UST stability tax that was already in place and active until February 2022. Governance Proposal 172 reduced this tax rate to 0. This means that the developers and exchanges that were utilizing UST stablecoin already have this logic, and it would be a matter of re-enabling the same logic for Luna Classic. Okay, folks? So now moving on to Proposition 4080, distribution of 50% transaction fees to the community pool. And I'm just going to take a sip of my drink. 2 seconds, folks. Lovely. We are getting into this one now, folks. It's coming near the end. So Proposition 4080, distribution 50% transaction fees to the community pool. This was a parameter proposal that passed June 15 with a yes vote of 94.79%. With a total vote of 191.23 million, the proposal states distribute 50% transaction fees to the community pool, 35% to be burned via a monthly community pool proposals, 10% airdrop to ecosystem devs, 5% retained for core Terra Classic development, and increased base and bonus proposal reward from 0.01 and 0.04 to 0.03 and 0.12 respectively. So there's the line of code and everything like that. Feel free to pause it and take a look. So implemented solution status active. This was a parameter change proposal, and so the parameters were automatically implemented by the governance module. 4.2 concerns and potential pitfalls. Concern: who will initiate the burn proposal every month? At this time, it is unclear who will initiate the burn proposal every month. While the authors are in communication with the creators of this proposal, we are unaware of any formal schedule or responsibilities put in place for the community burn. Concern: what prevents the abuse of community funds? The distribution of the community pool is defined by a distribution governance proposal. The community and validators will have to vote for distribution of these funds. 5. Proposition 1299, re-enable IBC. And this is for all you wrapped Luna people, so do listen up here. This was a parameter change proposal that passed with a yes vote of 95.14% with a total vote of 158.15 million. The proposal states Terra validators disabled IBC as a stopgap solution to prevent impermanent loss on UST and Luna pools on Osmosis and other IBC DEXs. Unfortunately, this also prevents UST and Luna from transferring between chains. Currently, about 154.7 UST is stuck in Osmosis alone. These proposals re-enables and locks the transfer of UST and Luna between chains. And as you can see there's the changes. 5.1. Proposed solution and implementation status not implemented. While this parameter proposal passed, IBC was disabled in code, not in the parameter space. This technical code for re-enabling IBC is trivial, but is not implemented at this time. See concerns and potential pitfalls. So during the UST depeg, there was a significant concern regarding IBC vulnerabilities. We have reached out to 2 Cosmos developers, one that closed the channel in the first place, and one that warned against reopening early when USTC was depegging. We plan to talk to interchain teams like Osmosis and Juno and consult with the Cosmos developers who were involved in the first place. Further research is warranted to ensure the reopening of IBCs is secure. Rebel 1 testnet. On June 24th, 2022, Rebel 1 testnet went live with the proposed code changes proposition 3568 and 4095 in the span of 48 hours. The testnet was supported by 7 community validators donating their time and hardware. Now, after a week, the testnet has 11 validators and new members are being onboarded daily. The testnet is able to be accessed through the existing Terra Station desktop app and Chrome extension. The distribution of funds is automatic through a Faucet Node.js application. For our code changes, the 4095 code was tested to see if our logic would disable delegation, then enable delegation after a specified block. This was successful. Our 3568 test included whether the correct tax was being computed with on-chain transactions. We also tested the governance parameter proposals that would need to be set in order for the burn tax to be executed as designed. Our tests have concluded that the code is working as expected. Integration tests on Columbus 5 is ongoing. Very important part there, okay, folks? So conclusion and future directions. In future directions, we believe the algorithmic stablecoin connection between Luna and UST is an important, useful, and differentiating factor of the Terra ecosystem. This topic is beyond the scope of emergency measures that need to be taken immediately and will be addressed more thoroughly in a different document. In conclusion, we have presented our technical specifications on how the past governance proposals can be implemented. We publicly audit our code in order to build trust from the community and validators. We also outline our concerns for the various proposals for full transparency. Finally, we asked the larger community for assistance in vetting and implementing the code base. We are adopting a legacy code base that was not developed. So by us. nor are being given guidance by creators. We ask those who have knowledge or resources to contact us to help rebuild the Terra ecosystem. Financial disclaimer: no author is being financially compensated for their assistance in the emergency management of the Luna Classic blockchain. Several authors have disclosed personal financial interest in the form of LUNC and UST holdings. And here's a list of references. I will pop these up in the description for this live stream, but that's pretty much it, folks. So is there anything now that you want me to go back and cover quickly before we get to the end of this live stream? As to this emergency management and recovery of Luna Classic, seeing this white paper is really, really good, and seeing it after CZ Binance has made the comments he's made about not understanding the burn tax. So in fact, we'll go back to that now. Let's actually read that end bit again, because that was quite important, I think. So pretty much it's stating that the code, they've done all of the testing on 3568. It's worked fine. And yeah, pretty much now testing it on Columbus 5, and it's ongoing and stuff like that. So yeah, take it easy, all of you. And do stay safe out there. It's not financial advice. It never is. This will be up soon. And yeah, really do stay safe out there, folks. And I'll catch you in the next one.